So the past few weeks, we've been working a lot with light and the sun. And, that's really appropriate to be doing at this time, as we head into winter in the Northern Hemisphere. Um, and we're doing this on Sunday, so to honor the sun and to invoke some of that sun energy. But I don't know, this week I was really called to work with the energy of Soma, so the moon energy. And, Soma is a really interesting story. It's one of the most fascinating stories that I've come across in my studies of yoga. So if we go way, way back to the very oldest text, they think maybe it's the oldest spiritual text in the world, the Rig Veda. And people say that it was written down for the first time, 4 to 5,000 years ago. And of course, before then, it was developed through the oral tradition. And then at some point, people started to write it down on little pieces of papyrus or skin. And then it became more of a concretized text. So very, very old. And in that, one of the main deities that's worshipped is Soma. And Soma is really, really interesting because Soma is a god, but Soma is also a plant, and Soma is also a drink made from the plant. And there's lots and lots of debate about what that plant was because it had psychotropic properties. The qualities of Soma when you drank it would give you strength. It would help you see the truth. It would help you connect with the gods. So this sounds a lot like, other plant medicines that we know today. We call them entheogens, so awakening God within, or psychedelics, revealing the soul. So Soma really seemed to be in this family of plants and then substances, so drinks. So the Soma was pressed and extracted and added to milk and water and made into this sacramental drink. So Soma was a god, Soma was a plant, and Soma was the drink made from the plant. So that's where we first hear about Soma. And then we don't hear a lot after that until the first Hatha Yoga texts, which first started to emerge in the medieval period. So maybe about 4 to 500 years ago. And of course, Hatha Yoga was an oral tradition passed down from teacher to student, from parents to children for many, many years. And so it's not like Hatha Yoga just started 4 or 500 years ago, but that's when it started to be written down and codified into a system. So there's this huge gap of time where we don't hear a lot about Soma. And then all of a sudden, it emerges in the Hatha Yoga text as something that's within the body. So they no longer talk about it as a plant and as a sacramental drink, but they talk about it as literally the moon in the body. So one of the things I really love about Hatha Yoga is it's what we would call from a Western perspective an alchemical practice. So it's really all about as above, so below, as without, so within. So it's understanding your whole organism, your whole body, mind, heart, everything, as a microcosm of the macrocosm. And in the text, we find all of these references to this. So all of the elements are present in the body. The chakras are associated with different elements. The body is the earth. The breath is the wind, vayu. All of these things. And one of the aspects of the microcosm, as one of the aspects of the macrocosm is the moon. So in the Hatha Yoga tradition, they say that the moon is in the brain. And they say it's in the center of the brain, at the top of the spinal column. The place where we now know the pineal gland is. And from this moon in the brain, there's a substance that drips called soma. So another name for the moon, sometimes called Chandra, is Soma. So Soma now is also the moon. So that feminine aspect. And what drips from the moon is also the elixir of life, or the nectar of immortality, Amrita, or Soma. So now in Hatha Yoga, for some reason, we find that Soma is now in the body and accessible through pranayama and mantra and visualization, the practices that we work with in these sessions. And I find that so fascinating and so fun to work with. And it's, this alchemical aspect of Hatha Yoga, the elemental aspect of it, that really has been lost in the translation of yoga to the West, or the expression of yoga in the West. And it's really one of the most interesting and enjoyable and beneficial aspects of it, to be able to have this intimate relationship to the cosmos within my own body and psyche. So, I don't know, for some reason last week, Monday, I got up and did my practice, and I found myself really wanting to chant to Soma and to work with this in my pranayama chanting and visualization practices, right? And after my practice, I realized, well, it was Monday, Moon Day, the Moon's Day, Lundi, Lunar Day, and so it just kind of made sense. And I found that after my practice, I was just like super relaxed. I had a really nice and lazy Monday. I laid around a lot. I read. I just, everything slowed down. And it really felt like an effect of tapping into that energy, into that lunar feminine energy. And, I made a comment to Debbie. Some of these things just happen for me so intuitively that I don't even recognize what I'm doing until it's done. So I was like, man, I feel like really kind of tired and just like soft and relaxed today. I don't really feel like doing any work. And I chanted to Soma this morning, and we're like, the lights are starting to go off. Like, oh yeah, it's Monday, it's the moon's day, and I'm tapping into Soma, and so like, of course.
I have another correlation for you today that you might be intrigued by.
Yeah.
So every 2.5 days, if we follow astrology, the moon moves through a different sign in the sky, in the zodiac. So today, the moon is in Pisces, which is a water sign that's associated with going within, being meditative, honing the intuition. And what's interesting in the tarot, when we look at the tarot as it's been kind of codified, there's astrological correlations that have been joined to the archetypal pictures in the tarot. And Pisces, as a sign, its tarot card is the moon. So I think that's interesting that this theme is coming up when the moon is in Pisces, and that there is this divinatory connection with the moon.
Yeah. Well, that's another aspect of the moon practice that I didn't mention, but that the moon, in archetypal psychology and depth psychology, but they're just picking up on patterns that were perpetuating throughout the ages and all these cultures. But so they started to recognize that the moon represents the unconscious and intuition and all of that. And Soma is also related to water, and we're going to work with the water element in this practice too. So one of the new things that I want to introduce in this practice is working with these elemental bija mantras. And so I'll explain that before we do the pranayama practice, but that'll be an aspect of it. So a little something new maybe for those of you who have been coming before. And it's just a way to like keep enriching the practice, keep deepening it. So let's begin. Let's start with just attuning to this particular Soma mantra. that well, I didn't pick it out. It was just the one that came to me. So the one I've been working with this week. We'll start just by tuning into that, and then we'll introduce that into the pranayama practice. So we'll tune into the mantra. I'll explain the approach or the method that we're going to use in the pranayama practice, and then we'll do it. And then after that, we're just gonna do mantra practice. So we'll just keep repeating that mantra and let ourselves fall into a nice meditative state of absorption. And hopefully we're just able to soak in that nourishing, rejuvenating moon energy. So when we think about Soma, really use your imagination. Try to imagine as you do the chanting and breath work that your whole brain is being bathed in this nourishing liquid substance. And sometimes I imagine, my brain is being bathed in it, really soothing and nourishing my overworked mind. And then the soma is dripping down throughout my whole body and nourishing all of my nerve endings, the nadis, nourishing all of my organs. Everything that can get so frazzled in this hyper fast information age where we're being bombarded with so much. I often find, if I've been working on the computer too long, my brain just feels frazzled. Like it feels really dry and staticky and just, I needs nourishment, needs some juiciness back. And so that's what really Soma is all about, is bringing in some of that juiciness. We call it rasya, so it's Somarasya, Soma juice. We're really going to try to release some of that Soma juice that is in us already and have it nourish our whole being. Okay, you can tell I love Soma. So find a comfortable seat. So this is just the introduction to the mantra, because we're going to use it throughout the whole practice. So we're just tuning into it, warming up our voices. Okay, first we'll just tune our voices to the drone. So you can do that by humming at first. Really try to feel the vibration in your whole body as you hum. Okay, and then we can open it up, chanting Om a few times. Okay, and the mantra that we're going to use goes like this. Om Shrim Somaya Namaha. So it's Om Shrim, which is one of the sounds for the goddess, Shrim. Somaya Namaha. So salutations to Soma. Om Shri Somaya Namaha. We'll just do it a few times. Om Shrim Somaya Namaha. Om Shrim Somaya Namaha. Om Shrim Somaya Namaha. Om Shrim Somaya Namaha. Om